would you say if I said that I could bring them back?
I guess I'd say I never thought of that.
Well, alright, hold tight, you might wanna stand back, because one small John is coming intact.
St. John forward, spitting out some more words, fully intact, jacked, ready to rap and attack. Small John on your lawn, living like a gnome, hit you with my lyrics like a bullet to your dome.
Tonight when he comes up here, he's either gonna kill or he's gonna suck. But there's no in between for Mr. John Forward!
Oh, well, I didn't know any of that.
Well, that's what I've been trying to say the whole time.
Alright then, here we are doing the Facebook Live version of St. John Forward Radio. It's 9 o'clock, and here we are. I was hoping to get back into the radio station tonight. Been talking to the station manager about getting my access card turned back on so that I could come back in, but still waiting on that. It's in the capable hands of UNBSJ campus security, so I'm sure they'll get right on top of that. I don't know if this is even working, but I'm going to do it anyway, and if the live thing doesn't work, then I'm recording it anyway, so I will put it out. My name is John Forward. If you're just tuning in, you probably already follow me on Facebook or Instagram or something, so there's no need for me to introduce myself. You are not a drug-addled taxi cab driver in St. John who happened to be flipping through the radio channels. If you're listening to this, presumably it's on purpose, and I'm sorry for your loss. Yeah, I just went back over to Facebook, and it appears to be the old... this doesn't seem... I don't know if it's working or not, but I'm just going to keep going as if it is. It's a radio show just for me if nobody's seeing it. I don't think that I am going to be able to see any of the Facebook comments because, I guess we can go back over and take a look at what's happening over on Facebook. This is what my browser looks like. I don't know if you can see that either, but we've just got St. John Forward Radio logo in a little twirly-do. So anyway, the live interaction from the hundreds of thousands of people that are surely tuning into this. I'm sorry, I'm not seeing your comments, and I won't be able to respond to them. But wanted to try this out as an attempt. See how it goes. I've been producing radio shows. It was pretty consistent for a couple of months, doing the whole video production on my YouTube, and it's a lot of effort. It's part of the reason 3-4 years ago, however long it's been, that I made my way back on to campus radio, just because I don't know, there's something about doing it live. Honestly, it's much less work. Even the modest video production that can be witnessed on your average episode of St. John Forward Radio requires like a half a day at least of work. Some of the more complicated ones took a bit longer. It was fun doing the work, just as far as learning how to do the audio production, and this fabulous thing that you're seeing right here with a logo in the corner, and all that pizzazz going live out there, and I don't need to tinker with it. Even doing a purely audio podcast is a bit of a pain. I guess it wasn't. It depends on how deep into the woods you want to get with it. I did a series of Harry Potter movie recap podcasts called This Magic Moment. It's on my Podbean, johnforward.podbean.com, and that wasn't too bad. I mostly just recorded that as if it was live and added in some intro and outro music. But I started doing live radio on local FM, or CFMH as it was called at the time. I think it technically is. I don't know how the letters work, but did the live radio show for many years. Few rotating cast of co-hosts came and went, but eventually we felt constrained by the limitations of campus radio. Mostly that we couldn't cuss with abandonment. Abandon, I think is the word I was looking for, not abandonment. So, and then we started doing the H to the C podcast, which is also on the same Podbean feed. If you want to blast from the past, you can scroll through all the old content. Doing podcasts before it was after podcasting was. There was a few popular people, but it was before everybody had a podcast. So I don't know when we started doing that. I'm going to say 2010, 10 years ago. But people had lives, and it became a nightmare just to coordinate and get people all in the same room. And then we were doing a lot of sort of a radio drama type segment. We had a whole storyline going that I got real deep in the weeds on that, putting in score and sound effects and lots of editing, and it just became untenable to keep doing it by myself, so I dropped off for a while. But my pals in Hoveland, which I don't think is encoding overloaded. Consider turning down your video settings or using a faster encoding preset. I don't know what that means. I don't know if this is working. Anyway, hopefully at least the audio works. So anyway, I took over the old Hoveland Radio Monday night slot on campus radio, and I've been doing it since then. I think it's been 3 or 4 years at least. Pretty much every week. The occasional time had to put on a repeat. Throughout most of the lockdowns, I was putting out new shows every week, but just get tired of having to plan stuff out and have things to talk about, line up guests. But doing a live radio show, I'm just blathering on about nothing, and that's kind of how I like it. I don't know if anyone else likes it, but when you spend an entire Sunday working on a YouTube episode of your show that only has 5 views, it's a bit demoralizing. At least if I'm doing it live, I'm locked in for the hour, and then some minor tinkering and uploading after the fact. But it's out there and it's done. And even if this gets 5 views on my YouTube, I can tell myself that there's probably thousands of people that were listening to it live. If it's on the radio, I guess. Unfortunately, I'm streaming to Facebook, and I'm pretty sure it will tell me how many people were viewing it. So that's going to be demoralizing when I see the numbers on this, but I'm going to do it anyway. This is a tech demo, and anyway, so that's where we're at. I'm hopefully going to be back in the radio station next week. Thought about figuring out a way to live stream the video from the radio station. Not sure what the logistics are that. I never had any good luck getting on the Wi-Fi over at the university as a non-student. So anyway, that's where we're at, and we're gonna just because I can, I'm gonna. There's some comments. I can see them. So radio. Never see score bars at. That's right, Phil Smith. We never do see score bars at Halloween, and that's a damn shame. I don't think a tiny score bar exists, and that's something that we need to rectify. But we'll come back. We'll maybe talk a little. We'll talk a little bit of Halloween after this. But let me just play a song here. You know, let's do. It would be nice if I had a Halloween song queued up. But let's go for the old classic. This is my favorite band, and this is the thing that if nobody has anything interesting to make fun of me about, they'll just make a joke about how much I love Clutch, and I do. So these are weird times that we're in, so here's a song called Weird Times by Clutch on St. John Forward Radio, playing from my Spotify in the other window, and this whole thing is overloading my, I don't know if Spotify is going to work. Overloading my whole system here. I'm using a very old laptop for this thing, so yeah, I don't know if it's giving me warnings down in the bottom corner that something is happening. Bad things are happening here. The output is too strong for my computer. My beautiful face being cast all on the internet live is too much for my junky old laptop to handle. I'm using Spotify in a web browser because the Spotify program is absolute garbage and it works on almost no computers consistently. So particularly this old ass computer that is currently live streaming video is proving to be a bit difficult. So, oh, it's coming. Do we have music?
Not too light.
dear. Caught me off guard there. So, anyway, back on here. That was a mild disaster. I don't know if that came through for you, but the music went pretty choppy and skipping a couple of times. So, we're having some technical difficulties with my old garbage laptop. But this is the post-Halloween show, and in the comments section here on Facebook, legendary comedian Phil Smith pointed out that you never see score bars at Halloween, and he's right. This year, we usually, even under normal circumstances, we don't get many trick-or-treaters at my house. I don't know. I live at the end of like a dead-end street, and I'm the only house on it, so my guess is that the people that lived here before us never really made much of an effort at handing stuff out. Maybe there were known child murderers. I'm not sure, but the reputation kind of stuck, and I haven't done a whole lot to make up for it. We've attempted to put up some modest Halloween decorations in the past, and got, I think, the maximum. We've been in this house for at least 10 years, and I think peak Halloween time, we got maybe 5 groups of trick-or-treaters. They go out in the neighborhood, and everybody else in my neighborhood is posting pictures in our neighborhood Facebook group of their little sliding tubes, so that everybody can be socially distanced. I didn't turn the porch lights on this year. I didn't feel like getting up off the couch and putting on a mask. I could have probably just put a bowl of candy out on the deck, and if they take it, they take it. But anyway, generally we just buy one box of candy from the grocery store and decide what it is that we want to be eating for the next month, and just to have some backup in case somebody showed up. So normally I go chocolate bars, but there's not usually a great mix of the chocolate bars. There's usually like most of them that I'm into, but then there's some garbage chocolate bar in there that nobody likes. Can't think. Actually, I think between my dear wife May and I, we like all of them. But there's not a good combo of my favorites. They're probably not made by the same company. I think favorite chocolate bars for me would be Mars Bar is the old school favorite, but at some point in my life, I think it was usurped by a Wonder Bar. Score bars is also. I don't buy them very often, but I enjoy them. Score Blizzard at Dairy Queen is my favorite Blizzard. So, but yeah, I've never seen fun size Score bars. I'm not sure why that is, but they probably get broken. I don't know. Who knows? So, no trick-or-treaters this year. No, this is the first, might be the first year in my adult life where I didn't go to a Halloween party. Did not make any attempt at a costume. Usually if I'm lazy, I'll at least just throw on my Freddy Krueger sweater that I have. Didn't even bother this time. Just stayed in and rewatched Freddy vs. Jason with the aforementioned dear wife May for the first time in many years, and some of the CGI does not hold up almost 20 years later. That movie's from the early 2000s at some point. But I enjoy it. It's better than many of the sequels to both the Nightmare on Elm Street and Friday the 13th series, both of which I enjoy. I'm especially fond of Nightmare on Elm Street. You can see my metal Freddy glove up there. I've even got my backup shitty plastic one here. But even the Nightmare series, Friday the 13th has way more stinkers in it than the Nightmare on Elm Street. Nightmare on Elm Street's got some bad ones, but most of the Friday the 13th movies are garbage. Nightmare on Elm Street, first one is a classic. The second one is ridiculous. But over the years, learning a bit more of the backstory and understanding the gay allegory of it, and about Freddy represents the main character's latent homosexuality, like bursting out of him, and there's like weird. It's a very gay movie, and I don't mean that in a pejorative sense. It is literally a homosexual movie. A lot of people give it grief because it doesn't really follow the rules of Freddy, which wasn't really established until afterwards. Anyway, I don't think Part 2 breaks with any of the mythology that was set up in the first one, so it's interesting. 3 is a classic. It's got great characters. It's got great kills, great dream sequences. 4 sucks. It's worth watching, but I don't like it. 4 is when Freddy jumped the shark. That's like Freddy Mania had taken over the United States, and Freddy was all over the place. He was a pop culture icon, so they leaned a bit more into the wisecracks and kind of the cheesiness of it. 5 is not well regarded amongst the fans in general, or horror aficionados. 5, I like it, and I don't really understand completely why it has such a bad reputation. It might just be a nostalgia thing for me. I believe Nightmare on Elm Street Part 5, The Dream Child, is probably the first one that I saw. That was I had an odd collection of VHS videotapes when I was a kid. That Nightmare on Elm Street 5, I believe, was a movie that we owned in the Forward household, and I was probably 8 years old, 10, I don't know, very young, but I watched that movie a lot. So there's some nostalgia that helps me overlook surely its flaws. Freddy's Dead Part 6, absolute garbage, absolute trash, not even worth watching. When it came out, I remember liking it well enough, but going back to it sucks. Just hands down awful. New Nightmare, which is the one after the fact, is very meta. It takes place in the real world. Like Wes Craven himself is in it, and Heather Langenkamp, who plays Nancy in 1 and 3, she's in it as herself, as the actress who appeared in these movies, but Freddy has somehow come out of the movies and into the real world. It's really interesting. I haven't watched it in a long time. And then Freddy vs. Jason is Part 8, and it's amazing. Freddy doesn't get many good kills in it. Most of Jason gets the good kills, but the fight between Freddy and Jason is appropriately epic, and it made a big pile of money. I don't know why they dropped off after that. The Nightmare on Elm Street remake from 2010, I think. Not great. The dream sequences, it's been a while since I've watched it. I kind of want to rewatch it, since I just went to see the original Nightmare on Elm Street in the movie theater a couple of weeks ago. And but I remember liking Jackie Earle Haley's version of Freddy. He looks more like an actual burn victim, which, take it or leave it. Do I? Yeah. I've got a remake Jackie Earle Haley version of Freddy. I've also what else do I got? I've got, you can't see it, so, or yeah, you can see him a little bit. He's behind this guy. I've got Freddy versus Jason up there too. I liked how Jackie Earle Haley played him. I like he kind of did a thing where he would kind of swish these two finger blades together to make kind of a sound. I think I discussed this with Brian Godso. I think it might have been on a podcast, but I enjoyed how they briefly toyed with the idea that maybe Freddy was innocent and these parents burned him alive anyway. But then, they didn't stick with that. I had heard that that was originally they were going to stick with that, which I think would be an interesting take on the character. But yeah, that one was not well liked either. Friday the 13th is very scattershot. The original is a classic, mostly just it kind of set the standard for gore and kind of slasher special effects. We had Tom Savini in there, famously Kevin Bacon getting like an arrow up through the bed and out of his neck. So that one's interesting. Part 2 is just kind of a meh. That's the one where he's got a bag over his head, like an Elephant Man type thing. I'm not sure if that was an on-purpose reference or not, but Part 2 was just, I don't think anybody was expecting Friday the 13th Part 1 to be as successful as it was, but it was. So people like money, but they killed off the killer in Part 1. So let's bring back the little kid who is an adult mountain man now. I don't remember much about 2 other than he's got a bag head. Part 3 is not bad. That it wasn't until Part 3 until Jason got his iconic hockey mask, so that one's notable for that, if nothing else. Part 4, the final Friday, is a classic. It's got Corey Feldman in there, and this was the one where I don't know if they were ever planning on actually finally killing Jason, but if they were going to end it, 4 would have been a good spot to end. And then 5 is just pointless. 6 is really fun. 6 turns Jason into a full-on zombie, and they've got like he gets reawoken by like a bolt of lightning. It's ridiculous and fun. 6 is highly recommended. 7 is just boring, and I think there was a lot of the violence was cut out of it from studio meddling. It's just kind of boring. Jason looks cool in it. I think Friday the 13th Part 7 might be the best Jason look. Friday the 13th Part 8, Jason Goes to Hell, also absolute trash in the same kind of way. I think it came out around the same time as Freddy's Dead. Oh wait, no, I skipped one. Jason Takes Manhattan. Which the Manhattan part of the movie is fun. It's cool to see Jason Voorhees walking around New York City and in Times Square and stuff, but most of it is just at a prom on a ship, and it's kind of stupid. I don't know. When it gets to New York, it's fun, but that's only like the last half hour of the movie. But Jason Goes to Hell, absolute trash. That's another one I remember liking it well enough when it first came out. Rewatched it again as an adult and absolutely hated it. Jason looks all lumpy. He's got a really weird look, but Jason isn't even in most of the movie. He's just people. He's like body hopping. He's possessing people. I don't know. It's stupid. And then the Friday the 13th remake, I haven't seen since I saw it in the theater, and it was fine. Just kind of like a typical kind of 2000s remake that kind of does all of the stuff it's supposed to, but there's just something's missing. That's one that I want to revisit. But anyway, that's my impromptu review of the Nightmare on Elm Street and Friday the 13th film series is. But anyway, Freddy versus Jason, a very successful combo of the two, and they had talked about doing a Freddy versus Jason versus Ash from the Evil Dead, and that never panned out. They actually they put out the story of that as a comic book that I remember being decent, so that would have been a cool movie, but never happened. Who knows? It did spark off a lot of internet conjectures. We were gonna get like Pinhead versus Michael Myers, and they were matching them all up. I've got Puppet Master here in the background. There was a long time ago. They were. I'm not going to say the original, because the Universal monsters all got together in those Abbott and Costello movies back in the day. Abbott and Costello meet Frankenstein, I think. All of Dracula and all of them are in there. But Puppet Master fought the demonic toys at one point. That was interesting. But they were talking about doing team ups with all of the big horror icons. Chucky, Michael Myers, Pinhead, Leatherface. Never really panned out. Usually something as successful as I'm pretty sure Freddy vs. Jason was, they love money, and they generally want to make more of it, but it didn't happen. But anyway, let's take another musical break. What song do I want to play? Of course, I've got nothing that's of any relation to anything I've just been talking about. So let's just play a song called "Fuck It" by Mondo Generator. If it works. Oh, it's spinning. It's spinning. It wants to load. It wants to. My poor little laptop can't handle Spotify and the stream at the same time. But yeah, it was a weird Halloween this year. Didn't turn the lights on. I instead of chocolate, as before I got off on a big tangent about Freddy Krueger and Jason Voorhees, we were talking about Halloween candy. So this year, rather than getting chocolate bars, where I only like maybe 3 out of the 4 options, I went for some actual candy. I got a good Skittles and Starburst combo. But I enjoy both of those things. But I think I regret not having chocolate bars in the mix, because I'm not big on. When am I gonna go and buy a chocolate bar and eat it? Halloween's really the only time. I don't know. I must have just been put off. Did a show in Fredericton a couple of weeks ago, and on the way home, bought a Mars bar at the Lincoln Irving, and halfway through it, I turned on the lights and realized that something was amiss with my Mars bar, and it was all white on one side and crumbly, and I ate it anyway, but it was not great. Somebody suggested I take a picture and fill out a complaint on the Mars website, which I did. I was expecting a lot of free chocolate bars, but they never responded. I'm very disappointed. But anyway, is it going to work this time? I refreshed the Spotify. We're going around. Oh, there we are.
Left in me dry.
we could go down and sleep by the river. I catch the trip more than me.
Alright, and we're back. Oh, I gotta put my face back up there. So we've got some more comments. Phil Smith wants to know my wish list for the next Versus series. Off the top of my head, I'm not really sure. I was just trying to think of what are the modern popular ones. We've got a Babadook. Babadook could probably fight somebody. The It Follows, maybe Babadook versus It Follows. I don't know how that would work. The Babadook would have to have sex with somebody and then catch the It Follows. What else do we got? Get Out. There isn't really a set standard monster that could fight somebody, but they've got the Candyman remake coming out. It's supposed to have been out, but they delayed it because of the coronavirus. I think the trailer for the new Candyman remake looks pretty good. Candyman the original, one of the only movies that ever actually scared me. I'm pretty desensitized, but that one and The Exorcist and Texas Chainsaw Massacre, obviously those are genuinely scary movies, I think. So if this Candyman remake becomes popular, I think thematically it would fit with the Get Out universe. Maybe throw Candyman, maybe the Us universe, which Us is another one. I saw it in the theater. Didn't like it as much as Get Out, but I don't really understand what was happening in the end. Didn't make a lot of sense. That's one that I want to revisit and watch again. But anyway, Candyman versus Get Out. In this day and age, I think that would be a successful movie. So anyway, Halloween didn't do anything this year because I want to say we're in a pandemic, but well, we are. Or well, anyway, everyone's acting as if we are. That sounds like I'm a crazy conspiracy theorist. Coronavirus is real. Bad people are using it as an excuse to implement nefarious things. But anyway, obviously there's not as many options this year for what to do. I was briefly booked to do Cards Against Humanity at the Grimross in Fredericton on Halloween. I was kind of regretting doing that. I don't know. I wanted to do a show where I could actually do my own material and not, the Cards Against Humanity show that we did whenever that was, a million years ago, actually was really fun. But I don't know if I want to do it again. But anyway, that got rescheduled, so I ended up doing a regular spot on October 24th, which was fun, which opened up my my Halloween. And a friend of mine had had Kaelin Capson, host of the Pagan Place podcast. Has lots of local and local adjacent musicians on there. You should check it out. He was one of my old co-hosts for H to the C, my old radio show / podcast. But he had booked out McGill's for a Halloween party, and I probably would have went, but my dear wife May did not want to go, and if I wanted to go without her, she wouldn't have had a problem with that. But she's got the COVID paranoia a little bit. One of her coworkers is with child, and and I get it. She just, if we went to a thing with a lot of people, and she got her coworker sick and made her have a stillborn corona baby, she would feel quite guilty. It's a very unlikely case, but that was the decision that she made, and she was free to make it. And I wanted to spend the night with my dear lady more than I wanted to go out and get hammered and wear costumes and stuff. So we stayed in and watched Freddy vs. Jason. She was a little bit weirded out that, I don't know if this is a legally binding document, but in the Facebook event there was this whole thing that just a hand waving away as an excuse to not socially distance, and everybody promise you don't have coronavirus, and agree that you consent to this paragraph in it was very weird. I think that scared off May more than anything, and that is what it is. That's fine. Seeing the pictures after the fact, that would have been a good time. But I stand by my decision to watch Freddy vs. Jason with the lady, but no costume. Honestly, I used to love Halloween and making costumes and doing all that stuff. But even before this year, it's been probably at least 5 years before since I had a new Halloween costume. I've gotten away with going to the old tickle trunk and recycling old costumes for the past few years. I've got it's real easy to put on the Freddy Krueger sweater and a little fedora, and I got my glove. Been a real long time since I've done the full Freddy makeup. But yeah, I see the old pictures of me in very pretty impressive Halloween costumes that I enjoyed. I don't have it in me anymore. I've seen I did a good werewolf one year. What else? I just came up today. About 10 years ago, I did a zombie makeup, and I had entrails hanging out of my stomach. It was kind of practically annoying having this big sticky goober hanging out of my shirt all night, but that was fun. Freddy, the Leatherface, I've done a couple of times. I did it briefly on last episode of St. John Forward Radio, I think, actually. I've got the old Leatherface mask right here. I've never been big on masks because that feels like a lazy Halloween costume, but Leatherface is wearing a mask, so I allow it. I've got this Godzilla mask that has spent not very much time on my actual head, because who wants to wear this thing all night? I also have this very elaborate mask that I bought that I've never worn. I had a brief dalliance with the idea when I was putting together my my honey garlic show for the Fringe Festival. That was probably 5 years ago, something like that. Talk a lot of about my dearly departed mother, and I had thought I was gonna have a dummy in a chair, and I'd pull a sheet off at the end, revealing that like a Norman Bates thing, that my dead mom was there with me on stage. didn't end up going that way. So I've got an elaborate old hag mask that I haven't really used. But anyway, we stayed in and watched Freddy vs. Jason. Did not turn on the porch lights because I didn't feel like having to get up and answer the door and put on a mask and deal with. I don't know if any kids came around anyway. But if they did knock on the door, I would have answered and given them a fistful of Skittles and Starburst. But no parties. But seeing the pictures though, there's friends that were at that thing that I haven't seen in many months. But them's the breaks. Friday night. Another band that I enjoy quite a bit, Guar, who they were doing a live stream. It's the 30th anniversary of the Scumdogs of the Universe album, and they were playing all the songs allegedly live. They kind of screwed it up and revealed that it wasn't actually live. Couple of minutes into the set, there was a bit of a glitch, and then there was like a please stand by title card, and then the whole thing just restarted, including Sleazy Pete Martini's intro. So it was obviously pre-recorded, which I would have guessed as much anyway, because there was all kinds of camera angles and it was very tightly edited. Broke the magic a little bit, but it was a good show. The thing was an hour and a half. I was expecting them to play like the album Scumdogs of the Universe and then maybe like a half hour of greatest hits afterwards. They just played Scumdogs, and that, with all their stage antics and such, stretched it out to 90 minutes anyway. But they didn't play it in order, which that's interesting. Actually, looking at the most albums, I think that's why they do it with like the classic albums live thing. They'll play the album and then they just throw on some greatest hits at the end, because generally the way that you sequence an album as far as where the hits are is kind of in a different order than what you would find at a live show. Like the live show, you want a strong like opening track. Like I've heard, I saw Buck 65 once, and he explained the process that you put your best song on at the end and your second best song at the beginning, which is a good way to structure a longer comedy set. But playing an album straight through, most of the time the best songs on an album from a band are in the first half, and then it kind of peters out at the end. But Scumdogs of the Universe would have ended with Cool Place to Park, which would be a good, I think they may have closed with that one anyway, but all the hits are like Salaminizer is at the beginning, and Maggots and Sick of You. Slaughterama, that's number 5, so I guess they reordered it so that it made sense as a live show. Wasn't really they just brought out some of the old standards, the stuff that they would have done with those songs. I was a little bit let down. I wanted to see what a modern day Guar show kind of looks like. First off, their lead singer Dave Brocky died several years ago. I don't know how many. I think it was 2014. I had a whole episode about Guar with Travis Boyce. That's in the podcast feed when the first Odorous Orungus free album came out. It's not the same without Dave Brocky. The songs are still good, and the aesthetic is still there, but Dave Brocky was the funny one, and Guar's not funny anymore, and that's what's really lacking. And so I was curious, like Guar does a thing where they bring out kind of various celebrities and stuff that they they have these big cartoony versions of them that they bring out on stage and murder and dismember and spray their blood into the audience in various ways. So I was curious about who would be on the docket at a Gwar show in 2020. And it used to be like Gwar would be like the edgy, like, let's do what the most tasteless. Actually, the first time I saw Gwar was like 2004, and Dave Brocky / Odorous Orungus set up their next victim as, because it was the most tasteless thing I could think of. He brought out Lacey Peterson, who was a pregnant lady that was murdered by her husband like around that time. It was in the news, and they murdered her and like cut open her pregnant belly and pulled out the baby that was on the inside and molested the baby. I think Michael Jackson came out and like filleted the the dead fetus baby. So that's the Gwar. I'm not sure what the 2020 equivalent of that is, but I didn't see it at this show. If I'd still give them another shot to go see them live just to see what they do, but I feel like there'll be some punches pulled. Like, there's the obvious kind of who would be the most tasteless person to kill on stage. It would, yeah. I don't, like, there's lots of options, but I think they would actually get in trouble, which they used to get in trouble too. But anyway, I don't think Gwar is going to kill George Floyd on stage. It would be tasteless, I agree. But it would have been the Gwar thing to do. They probably would have like Ruth Bader Ginsburg in there. They probably murder her on stage for sure. I'm not sure who else. Like Trump for sure. I guarantee they've probably been murdering Trump on stage during the last 3 years for sure. Biden probably would have got in there too. Would have been cool to see like an Antifa fighting with like a Nazi, and Gwar kills them both. These are the things that I had hoped for, but I didn't see it on this one. I think, if I ever have a chance to see them live again with the new singer, I'll give it a try. I think I'm going to be disappointed though, but it's going to be a spectacle either way. It's just not funny anymore though. But they did have a I don't know. I was going to play they did release the 30th anniversary. They remixed the album like from the original elements, and I'm not like a huge audiophile nerd, so I listened to this and enjoyed it quite a bit, and it felt like it sounded good, but listening to it back to back, I'm not really sure. There's the song King Queen on the album, which I didn't know. I was aware of it, but it's not one of the hits in my head. There was no video for it, but they've got lots of songs that have been live staples for a while that didn't have music videos, but that one was never really on my radar. But throughout the the pre-show and everything, they kept talking about King Queen and like dedicating it to Dave Brocky, so I don't know if there's something special about that song. It's a solid song, but apparently there's an 8-minute long version of it on this new album that I was going to play on the show tonight, but we're running out of time, so I'm not going to, but it's on Spotify. Yeah, I don't know. We've got 6 minutes left in the show. Maybe I'll close with a Gwar song, not the 8-minute long King Queen, but anyway, closing up. Let's go back and see if there's any more questions. No. Phil Smith dropped out 23 minutes ago. At least in the comments, or maybe I've just been so good at anticipating my listeners' needs that I've covered it all. But stuff coming up for me, local comedian. November 14th, No Jokes Barred is back at McGill's. And then I'm especially excited to be back at Punchlines November 20th and 21st, opening for Colin Hallett, I believe is how you pronounce his name, from Newfoundland. I've seen him before, and he's really funny, so I'm looking forward to that. Nathan Dimitrov from Bathurst, funny New Brunswick comedian's also on the show, and Mike Hammond, also from Newfoundland, is going to be hosting it. A few years ago, I spent a week up in Newfoundland and did some open mics, and did at least one show with Mike, and it's been a while, but I remember him being funny. So that should be a good one. So that's at Punchlines on November 20th and 21st. I think that's all I've got coming up. You can check out my YouTube channel. I've still got Cigarettes and Cool Ranch, my last hour-long show that I did for the Fringe Festival. That's still up there. Minimal views, but it's good. It was a small audience, though. It is not a finished, polished Netflix project, but I enjoyed it, and if you like my comedy at all, I think you will like that. But let's close out the show with let's go with Salaminizer. That might be one of my favorite Guar songs. And is it going to work on the first try, or do I need to refresh my browser again? Oh, let's just refresh the browser. So anyway, I should have done that while I was doing the plugs. But as we're wrapping up here, you can go to johnforward.com, which I haven't updated in a long time. But there's some stuff on there. It gives you links to all the other stuff that does get updated. Instagram, johnforward.com. That DOTCOM is spelled out. Twitter, I don't tweet. I think the radio show automatically gets reposted on there sometimes, but not always. I don't know. Never got into Twitter. People around here never really seem to be in on Twitter, but politically, people are complaining about stuff and hashtag St. John and stuff in there, so maybe that's something to do. Next week, maybe I'm back on the radio. I don't know if it will be live. Don't know what this is looking like on the internet or how choppy or failed it is, but anyway, this will be put out. God damn. I need to do this in a different room with a better Wi-Fi signal, or I'm taking donations. If anybody wants to buy me a new laptop so that I can do this and it doesn't take 10 minutes to refresh my Spotify browser. I don't know. I think it has taken too long, so we're not going to hear any Guar. I don't think it's going to work. And I do want to cut this off at 10 o'clock because that's my bedtime, and I want to keep this to the hour. So sorry if you were looking for a Guar song, but anyway, if you're a fan, you should check out that 30th anniversary remix thing. It's cool. Check it out. This has been St. John Forward Radio. I've been St. John Forward. I didn't mean to say Saint there, but it came out. And you have been my listener or viewer, whatever. Anyway, good night. Oh, the outro music's not even... There we go.